A few years ago, I decided that I would buy some equipment that would allow me to be more mobile while I was making videos. And the truth is that I never really ever used it, as you've probably realised, until today. And I decided that today, being as I'm going to be talking about the Trecena of E, it would be nice to doing it while I'm walking a path. And obviously, I'm on a new path at the moment. I'm somewhere different to where you might normally expect me to be. And maybe this is a new path in my life, which I might be celebrating, kind of like within this Trecena. I thought I'd introduce this movement into this video about the Trecena of E. So, I've already, I guess, given a couple of spoilers, as it were. Or maybe we already understand what it is that we're going to expect to see from the Trecena of E. And that is new path, new direction. The beginning of something new in life. That's what the Trecena of E can bring for us. E, as always, is about our journey, and that journey can take place, of course, many different ways on many different levels. Physical journey, mental, emotional, or spiritual journey. And for me, the Trecena of E is like, right, okay, here we are, we're setting off. So, on this day, 13 bats, this day of creativity, I decided I'd do something creative on a new path. So, let's move into it and work out what it's all about. So we're going to begin the Trecena, of course, with the day 1 literally the birth of the path, the new path, novelty coming in. And is going to encourage us to explore, to see something different, to try something new, to venture out, to boldly go where no one has gone before, as the case may be. I often see, sometimes there are certain things that come alive for me with regards to particular combinations of Nawalas. And for me, 1 is the pioneer. It's the, that exploration of the new. Taking a new path, taking a new journey. So, not only is this, obviously a theme of the Trecena, but for the day 1 this is something to really look into. Where is your new path taking you? Where do you want to go? If you were to choose a new path now, if you were to choose something to explore right now, where would it take you? What would you choose to do with it? If you could be a pioneer for anything, whatever level, whatever type of exploration that might involve, what would you choose to do? Where can you branch out anew? These are all things to consider on this day of 1 as we look at where our future might be taking us. Now, the thing with the 1 days, of course, is that there is some uncertainty with it. We're just beginning, so we don't necessarily know this is exactly what we're going to do, or exactly where we're going to do it, or how we're going to do it. There's room for some advice, let's say. And maybe that's what the, kind of like is here to do. It's like to go to people that have walked that path before you and ask them, well, how do you think that I could be in it? What do you think I should do in order to take this new journey, in order to take this new path? This is something that you might consider to be working with your friends, with your family, with your community. But one way or another, there is certainly some definition of, right, okay, kind of like the last time the came around 20 days ago, this was the end of the path, the end of a certain journey, the 7 where we get to choose our journey, where we get to choose our path. And now, sorry, I've been distracted by a squirrel here. Now, what are we going to do on that path? Where is it going to take us next? This new path that we are being presented with. How are we going to walk it? So, gives us this opportunity to go and explore something new. And it's an ideal opportunity to book those tickets, or to whatever it might be, to plan that journey to a place that you haven't explored before. Somewhere new that brings you new experience, because that's what is all about. From 1 we're then going into 2 Now, obviously, in order to go on that new path, you're going to have to break free of where you are. Can represent the home, it can represent our community, it represents our family in one way or another. And the number 2 can represent decisions and choices. Now, it can also represent relationships, it can represent self-sacrifice to one degree or another. And of course, when we take a journey, we do sacrifice, let's say, our home comforts. All of those things which are familiar to us from our home or from our community, they're the things that we're going to let go of as we step out into the unknown. As we step out onto, kind of like something which we hadn't considered before. And so too, may see us weighing up the choices, weighing up the possibilities between home and the road, between our creature comforts and the possible discomforts that we might face on the road. It's not always easy to take those kind of journeys, but of course it's something that we generally need to do in order to continue our exploration of the world, because that's what we're here to do in one way or another, right? So 2 can bring you a lot of choices with regards to your home. It might also bring you kind of like some things in a very stark contrast. It's like, okay, that self-sacrificing element of the 2, kind of like seeing, okay, do I sacrifice my community, my part within that community, my home, in order to take this new path? It can bring up a lot of choices and decisions around those kind of understandings. From 2 we're then going to move into 3 Now, interestingly enough, we see this also having a strong representation of home, because whilst Ish might represent the places which are sacred to us, the things that where we like the magical places, our connection with Mother Earth, our connection with our mother. But here we see it with the number 3, and therefore, again, connected to home, connected to the inner world. And so 3 is asking us to go within. Now, in some ways, what I would suggest with 3 is it's about helping us to identify the sacred within ourselves. Sometimes we think that we can't go on that journey, we can't take those steps, mainly because we will lose touch with the sacred landscape around us, our shrines, our altars. But 3 is asking us to go look inside for the sacred, to remember that altar and that shrine is actually within us anyway. And so it's something we're always going to carry with us on our journey, on our new path. So it's really a connection with the sacred within, and asking us to look within to find our connection to the Mother Earth, to find our connection that's going to sustain us on that new journey. From 3 we're then going into 4 Tz'ikin. So there'll be a bit of planning involved with any journey, right? And 4 Tz'ikin is asking us how our vision for this path might be laid out. The 4 representing the physical plane. So this is very much about our physical vision that we bring in. And Tz'ikin is about our prosperity. Now, that prosperity is asking us how we are going to prosper on this path. What vision do we have? And so on 4 Tz'ikin, this is maybe what we ask for. It's like, right, okay, I know that I have to take a new path. I know that I might be sacrificing my, kind of like my home comforts, as it were, in order to take this path. But how am I going to sustain myself? Where is my prosperity going to come from when I choose this new direction? Tz'ikin gives us the opportunity to ask for that to be shown to us, to ask for clarity within our sight, clarity within our vision of how that might come to us. So Tz'ikin also gives us the opportunity to solidify that vision into the physical realm. Once again, that new path that you're taking might be something that you've had in mind for a little while. So maybe you've already done a little bit of research. Maybe you've got a kind of like the basics of a vision. And Tz'ikin is like, right, okay, let's solidify this. Let's bring this into the physical realm to support you on that path. From Tz'ikin, we then move into 5 Ajmak. Now, with the number 5 representing work and Ajmak representing forgiveness, it would be very easy to say, right, okay, maybe you're looking for forgiveness from your work as you take this new path, from your boss when you give your notice in order to go travelling. That's one way of looking at it. I also see with this, the Ajmak part of it being the forgiveness that helps to liberate us, that helps us to move freely. Ajmak can tie us back. It can prevent us from doing things because we're carrying guilt or shame or blame or something like that. And the 5 is kind of like telling us, right, okay, this is our time to put our effort into that. That's where we got to kind of like choose to focus on that day. And it's not going to be easy because we have to use our energy. Every time we have to use our energy, this is, kind of like calling us to do something, and maybe something we'd prefer not to do, be quite honest. So the 5 Ajmak is a day to work on our forgiveness. It's a day to work on those burdens in order to free ourselves so that we can move on to that new path. So, I know that we could make a Mayan ceremony to forgive ourselves or forgive others. We could make a ceremony for 3 hours with a bunch of candles and all of that kind of thing. Or we could work with 1 candle. Or we could work with something like Ho'oponopono to put our energy into forgiveness, to liberate ourselves so that we can take that new road, that new journey. From 5 Ajmak, we will then move into 6 Noch. Noch representing knowledge, representing information, representing the information that we gain. Now, this can be partly through this new journey, but again, we could also see it as our research. This is about taking time to research what we're going to need on this new path, in this new journey. Noch gives us the ability to take that information in a very structured way so that it will stick, as it were, in our minds, it will stick in our brains, so that we're able to use it in a particular way. And here we see it combined with the number 6. Now, the number 6 could represent family. That's one kind of attachment for it. But one of the things that I really see with the number 6 in this particular case is that it is about the consolidation and stabilization of that knowledge. Okay, and so, kind of like this is a great day. If you've got to do your research about your new path, if you've got to work out which way you're going to go, if you've got to solve some problems as to how you're going to get onto that new path in the first place, 6 Noch is the day to do it. It may be that the knowledge comes from your family, because of course that could be what the 6 brings up for us. But one way or another, this is certainly something where we see that we have to go and think about things. We have to get the information. It's all right being a pioneer, but even as a pioneer, you want to make sure that you've got as much information as you can gather about what you might face on that journey so that you can be properly prepared. And here with the 6, we see it in balance because, when we set out on the new journey, this can also occasionally be something which scares us. Now, some of us are very excited about every new journey that we take. We're just, kind of like, we want new experiences. That's kind of what we live for. And others, well, maybe we're not so excited about it. Maybe we're kind of like, we're more into the status quo. We want things to be as they were and as we understand them. Either way, setting out, knowing what we might face helps us to come to terms with it, helps us to bring it into balance, helps us to pack in our bag what we're going to need. And so 6 noch gives us the opportunity to do just that. From 6 noch, we're then going to move to 7 Tijax. Tijax, the obsidian blade, the blade of the warrior, the blade of the healer. Tijax representing the cutting action of the obsidian blade. And here with the number 7. Now this is something which is very difficult for me not to just use the words the final cut. This is like being set free. This can also, if we see Tijax from the perspective of healing, we can imagine that this is kind of like the finalization of the healing. This is something that we need to achieve before we move out onto that new path. This is also, kind of like here we are, we're finishing this Trecena of Kawoq on the day 13 bats from which I'm talking to you, from 1 Kawoq. The birthing process. And what we see, this 7 Tijax, could be like the cutting of the umbilical cord. The final cut between, the final cut of what is both sustaining us, but also of what's stopping us from going out on that journey. So it's like being released. It's like kind of like I'm cutting away the final details so that I can move out onto that journey. Now, yes, it may well involve healing, because obviously we can't take that journey if we're not physically up for it. And so if there is any healing which needs to be finalized, then 7 Tijax may be a great day to be doing it on. If there is also any final cuts which need to be made in order to release yourself from your expectations or your commitments so that you can take that path, then 7 Tijax again is the day on which to do it. Now, you might think that you've kind of like, let's say, dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. You've prepared, you've done everything that you need to do. Well, 7 Tijax is also a great day for seeing what else might need to be cut away, because that 7 shows us all of the best choices. It shows us exactly where we need to pay attention, what we need to cut in order to finally release ourselves and walk out on that road. From 7 Tijax, we're then moving into 8 Kawoq. Kawoq, the midwife. This, as I said, we're finishing off today, this day that I'm talking to you on this 13 bats, we're finishing off that Trecena of Kawoq. And what we're doing on the 8 Kawoq, it was just celebrating, giving thanks for that opportunity to move into the rebirth, into the new life. Okay, so 1 Kawoq, the Trecena of Kawoq, moved us into the new life. We then move into 1 we're moving away from what we've been birthed from. And 8 Kawoq, we give thanks for it. 8 Kawoq is a day of celebration of the female healers. It's a day of celebration of the midwives. It's a day of celebration for all of those who have helped the new lives to come into the world. 8 Kawoq can also be seen as a day to give thanks for the rains, and a day to ask the rains to now be gentle with us, to now let up a bit. So it is a ceremony, it is a celebration of those things, and certainly if you have female healers around you, this is a day to celebrate them. and for them to make ceremony to give thanks for what they carry, for their connection with new life, for their healing power. From 8 Kawoq, we then move into 9 Ajpu. A very interesting combination. Ajpu representing our path to the divine, our connection with something else. It's like where we're going, what we want to do, our divine path, our return to the source. And the number 9 representing life. So this is a very, very interesting kind of like way of looking at it. In that, normally Ajpu, and the way that we might think about it, the way we might look at it, it's a very esoteric novel. It's looking for the divinity in life. It's looking for the hidden, the unseen. It's looking for, kind of like the more esoteric parts of life. And here we see it literally connected with the number which represents life. And so the number 9 is also independent. And so this is kind of like, right, okay, it's time to claim your independence and follow the life path that leads you to spirit, okay? And so this is something else which, kind of like taking this new path, this might be a realization that comes to you later in the Trecena on the day 9 Ajpu. It's like, hey, I thought I was taking that new path just because I needed to, freshen my life up a bit or something like that. Whereas later on in the Trecena, when we come around to 9 Ajpu, you realise actually this is part of your spiritual path that you didn't even realise that you were supposed to take, as it were. This is the liberation to walk your spiritual path because of the independence that comes with that number 9. It's been what you've been looking for all your life. And so, keep your eyes open as you walk on the day 9 Ajpu for exactly that. Following, kind of like the meaning of life. From 9 Ajpu, we're then going to move into 10 Imox. Imox representing the collective, Imox representing the oceans, the Great Lakes. And here we see it connected with the number 10, which can represent community. So obviously any community work regarding lakes or oceans would be well signified on this day, whether it's a cleanup of the lake or whatever it might be. We could also see it as a communal dream. The number 10 represents our connection to community. It's two hands coming together. And so, kind of like it is what bonds society together. And when we see it connected with Imox, which can also represent the dream, here we are. This is kind of like the dream of community, the dream of society. This is a wonderful day to be connecting with like-minded souls. Because, what you have is the number 10. This is, kind of like, this is finding your people. Because Imox, the dream, is suggesting these are the ones who we want to shake hands with regarding the dreams that we have. This is where this path is taking us, this new path is taking us to discover people around us, people on our destination or along the road that we're walking who are sharing a vision, sharing a dream. This is our connecting day. So again, it's a great day. Well, I suppose, like I'm going to say it like this, it would be a great day for networking and finding your community where you hadn't looked before on your new path. Because there may be others that are sharing that dream with you. And so 10 Imox would be a wonderful day for me doing that. From 10 Imox, we will then be moving into 11 Ik. So 11 Ik might be rather a wild day. We have Ik, which is known as a rather wild Nawal. The Nawal, which can blow very strongly. It's unpredictable because of the changes that it brings in. We don't know where that wind is going to change to. We don't know how it's going to change, and we don't know what it's going to bring into our life or take out of our life. This is a day in which I would suggest that, you know, there are many good things about Ik. We can't breathe without the air, and the seasons wouldn't change without the wind. But when we come to something which is highly unpredictable, sometimes what we've got to do is sit tight. We don't know which direction it's going to blow us into. And so it's a good day to stay anchored. It's a good day to just sort of take some time to be calm, especially when those changes come in, especially the ones that we weren't expecting. And so when we combine Ik with the number 11, this brings more unpredictability to it. You know, it's kind of like where the storm blows in out of nowhere, where, you know, sometimes we might be having a conversation and we don't know exactly what happened, but somewhere along the line something got said and it triggered someone, and suddenly the day takes a big change just because of one word or one phrase. 11 Ik is likely to be one of those kind of days. And so measure your words very carefully on 11 Ik, because they don't know quite where they'll take you. Now, on the other side of it, of course, the 11 can be very creative. That creativity coming through the voice. Now, might not make a lot of sense to begin with, because the 11s, well, you know, they can be meandering, going all over the place. So we're not exactly sure what they're going to bring to us. But maybe sometimes we just have to follow the words and see where they lead us. But as I said, I think that for me, the 11 Ik is really saying, right, okay, just be aware that words can change your direction very dramatically on 11 Ik. And as a result, you probably want to take a little bit of, let's say, have a few measures to make sure that they don't blow you too far off course. From 11 Ik, we're then going into 12 Aq'ab'al. So, Aq'ab'al, the dawn and the dusk. Aq'ab'al, the one that reveals what has been hidden in the darkness, the new concepts to come in. Aq'ab'al is one that helps us to, well, conceive new things into the world. And I really love this idea about it being the revealer, the one that brings in something new which has been hidden. Now, what is that new thing? Well, we don't know yet. It may come to us in a dream. It may be something which has been hiding in the darkness. Maybe it's something you've been hiding within you for a long time as well. But, you know, as we take our journey, as we step out on this new path, there is no doubt that there are many things which may be concealed from us. We haven't got there yet. We don't know what's going to be uncovered as we take that path. Now, Aq'ab'al is all about bringing things to light. It's about the light of the dawn illuminating things so that we can get a better idea of where we are. Now, I often think with Aq'ab'al, you know, sometimes you'll take that journey and you end up in, say, a hotel or something like that, and you arrive there at night. It's not until the next day that you actually see what's surrounding you. You get to get kind of like an idea about where you are, because it's revealed to you. Now, this, for me, is what Aq'ab'al does. And, you know, on this day, 12 Aq'ab'al, we see it combined with the number which represents life experience. So, where are we at with it all? Well, we're in the Trecena of E. We're taking a new path. We've got 12 Aq'ab'al, which is the revelation of that which has been hidden through our life experience. As we take the new path, there will be turns, there will be experiences that we weren't ready for or we didn't know about, or those kind of things, and we might get a bit lost. 12 Aq'ab'al helps to reveal where it is that we should be going. 12 Aq'ab'al shines a light on our path so that we can move forwards. That light coming from our life experience, kind of like, how sometimes you might not be in the same situation that you were in before, but there are some resonances with it. You think, okay, that's not nowhere that I've necessarily been before, but I remember how this worked in a similar situation. 12 Aq'ab'al may bring those concepts together. Now, the other thing that it might do, going back to the life experience, is that sometimes, as we go through life, we have these different concepts. They come in, they come out, we're not sure exactly what we're supposed to do with them. Maybe they're useful, maybe they're not useful right now. We put them in the back burner, we kind of forget about them for a little while. 12 Aq'ab'al suggests going back in our life, going back in our life experience, to go and look at those concepts as what might be brought to light right now in our new journey. Sometimes I think that we just learn the information too early for it to be relevant to where we are at a point in time. It's not until later on that we go, right, now I get it. Now I understand why I took that course or why I did that thing or whatever it might be. Because it's now on this new journey that it becomes relevant, that it comes to light. And then finally, we come to 13 Cat. Cat, the nawal of our net, the nawal of the bag that we're carrying on our journey, our backpack, our suitcase, our whatever it is that we might be carrying. It's all of our goods which sustain us. It's collecting them together. And here we see it at the end of the Trecena. Now there's a couple of things that I'd like to kind of address in it. Firstly, it may be that we are preparing our journey. And if we are preparing our journey, we might be wondering what it is that we're going to take with us, what we might need on our journey and what we might not need. 13 Cat, the 13 representing spirit or the ancestors. Cat representing what we gather. So when we put those two things together, what we can imagine is that 13 Cat could be kind of like asking for guidance as to what we need to take with us, what we need to put in our bag, and what we can release. This guidance, in this case, coming from the ancestors, coming from spirit. Now, the other thing that we see is that Cat can also represent liberation, because it represents the net which binds us, but it also represents being liberated from that net. And so this is what Cat is here to do. So this is liberation through the power of the ancestors. This is liberation through the power of spirit. And so once again, it may well be that if you are feeling restrained, if you're feeling unable to take that journey, if you're feeling unable to, change your direction and make that journey happen, then 13 Cat is a great day to be asking for the help of your ancestors, asking for the help of spirit to release you from the things which are binding you and holding you back, so that you can take to the road, so that you can move forward on that journey, carrying exactly what you need in your bag in order to do so. So I hope that this has been interest to you. I hope that you've enjoyed this little walk in the park that we've been taking, and that the background noise hasn't disturbed you too much. And I look forward to seeing you in 13 days' time for the Trecena of Can. Thank you.